Good morning and welcome to the Legacy Leadership Podcast, where we help Christian founder led nonprofits get funded so that you can lead well, live whole, and leave a legacy. I'm jumping on here super early before I head on a flight to the Dominican Republic. I recorded this episode earlier, yesterday. Actually, I was going to say earlier today, but now it's the next day. I recorded this episode yesterday and I lost it for whatever reason as I was going to do the editing. The file wasn't there. I was super bummed, but I felt like this was such an important topic to get out there sooner than later. I wanted to take some time at 1 in the morning and record this podcast for you. Today, I want to talk about end of the year fundraising. Now, you might be wondering, why is end of the year fundraising so important to talk about in July? Well, it's because really now is the time that you want to start focusing on your end of the year fundraising. I remember when I was running my organization, we would start usually end of June, beginning of July. We would start all of our planning. We'd start to think about when our events are going to be at the end of the year, and we'd work everything backwards, and we'd realize that we needed to start all of our planning a lot sooner than you would think to be able to make sure that everything happened properly. And so I would encourage you to be thinking a little bit about, what does end of the year fundraising look like for you? Is it events that you might have, maybe a banquet or a dinner or some kind of a barbecue or something that you're doing, a gala, where you're inviting your larger donors, making a presentation to them, updating them on everything that happened over the previous year and what's coming up in the next year? Maybe your end of the year fundraising is as simple as a Giving Tuesday campaign and maybe a mailer that you're going to send out to all of your supporters. Whatever it is, I would encourage you to start that process now. Start your planning process. Start thinking about what it is that you want to do. Because what happens with too many organizations is that you wait until September, October, maybe even beginning of November, and all of a sudden you're thinking, what in the world are we doing? We need to get a campaign out there, or Giving Tuesday is in 2 weeks and we haven't done any preparation for it. Or you think like, hey, it would be great to have an event at the end of the year where you can present to your partners, but now it's too late. Everybody's calendars are already full. And so when you're thinking about end of the year fundraising, I would start with, what is it that you want to do? What is it that you're thinking of doing? And then I would work backwards. If you're thinking of an end of the year dinner, I would do that sometime in November or December. Now, some people do it as early as October, but I really like that November, December timeframe. It's a very busy time for people, but if you can get it on the calendars early enough, that's when people are thinking a little bit more about their end of the year gifts. They're thinking about those end of the year donations. Businesses are thinking about tax deductions. People are thinking about what extra money they have to be able to give away. And everybody's just in a little bit more of a giving spirit at that time. We're getting close to Christmas for those who celebrate that. People are thinking of giving back. Giving is on people's minds. And so it's a really good time to be doing fundraising. I think December is actually one of the highest giving months for most nonprofits. That's when a lot of us have our best month as far as finances coming in. It's a great way to end out the year when we have that fundraising happening. So think about what it is that you want to do and then work backwards. So if, for example, you were going to do a fundraising dinner or event that first weekend of December, then I would think about, how soon before that do you want RSVPs coming in? It's really difficult to plan an event if you don't know how many people you're planning for. So I always like to have RSVPs in the mail and actually returned back to me if possible within 2 to 4 weeks. 4 weeks is better, but 2 to 4 weeks is okay because you might be working on catering. You might be having volunteers making meals. You have to do shopping. You have to know what it is that you're doing. You want to make sure that you're leaving enough space if you need a larger venue, whatever that may look like. And so I personally like to have those RCPs coming back into me 4 weeks before the event. So now we're at the beginning of November. From that point, I need to know that I'm sending out an invitation early enough in the whole schedule of everything that people actually can look at their calendars, they can get it on their calendars, and they can actually send those RSVPs back. So I want to be getting that invitation out even 4 weeks earlier than that, which now puts me at the beginning of October. That's when I'm starting to send out my invitations with my RSVP cards is maybe mid-October if I want to push it to that. So now I'm mid-October, beginning of October, and that's when my mailing's starting to go out. That's when people are receiving those invitations. Gives them plenty of time to make sure that it's on their calendar for December. Well, if I'm going to be sending my invitations out, even just liberally middle of October, then I want to save the dates before that. I want people to start thinking about the event. I want them to get it on their calendar. That should go out 4 to 6 weeks before. So if I think of invitations going out middle of October, now I'm at the beginning of September is when I should be sending my save the dates. That's when I should be notifying people about an event that's happening beginning of December. I should be notifying them that we will be having an event at the beginning of September. I should start to get the word out about that. And as I'm doing that, I want to be thinking about, are there volunteers or larger partners that maybe want to host a table? Maybe they want to invite their friends. I want to be talking to those people definitely by the time my RSV, my save the dates are going out. I definitely want to have those conversations already, but sometimes even earlier, sometimes even in August, I want to start having those conversations with my larger donors. I want to ask them if they would be table hosts, if they would invite friends or family. Would they commit to being at that event in December to help us bring in more people to that event? And so I found that was actually a really successful thing with our end of the year events is to talk to the larger donors, the people that you want to be at that event. You know that they might write a check, they might partner, they might give an end of the year gift. You want to be able to have them at that event. A really good way to ensure that they're there is to ask them to be a table host. Would they host a table and invite some of their friends, invite some of their family? Would they make that commitment to being at your event all the way back in August or September before their schedule's full? Would they make a commitment to bring some other people with them? Because now that's going to guarantee that I'll have those people that I want to be at my event. That'll guarantee that they're going to be there. So again, we worked this backwards. Now we're in August. And so that's why it's so important that you start your planning in July is you want to have already set your dates. It's also good to start telling the story of what it is that you're going to be asking people to partner with. It's crazy. We're only halfway through the year, and we should already be thinking about what are our big projects for 2027? What are our big projects for the upcoming year? We don't have to define every detail of those, but what is it that we want to accomplish at that time? Do we want to build a new school building? Maybe we want to launch a new program. Maybe there's a program growth goal where I'm running a youth program that currently has 50 kids and I want to grow that to 75 kids a week through the 2027 year, which means that we're going to need more funding. Maybe we need a bigger space. Maybe we need more volunteers, whatever that might be. I want to think through what are those 3 or 4 big projects or big initiatives for the upcoming year. I want to start telling stories about those programs. I want to start telling stories about those projects on social media. If my goal is to build a new school in the upcoming year and I want to have that be part of my end of the year fundraising, then I want to start telling the story in August and September about the new kids that were just brought into our school or how we're at capacity. It's September, beginning of school. We've now hit capacity in our school building. It's really exciting. I start to tell the story about all the kids coming back to school and how great school is. I'm laying the foundation and laying the framework so that when I make that ask at the end of the year, it's not a new ask. People are already ready for it. They're already primed for it. They're already prepped for it. The other reason that I want to start my end of the year fundraising early, I want to get ahead of it, even with social media just starting to get some of this foundation built, is going back to what we talked about in our marketing and mindshare episode. If you haven't listened to that, I'd encourage you to go back to it. But part of the idea is that we want to capture mindshare, and mindshare is this idea that people only have a finite amount of space in their brain for any particular category of people or organization or anything else. And so as people are approaching the end of the year, they're thinking about end of the year giving. They're thinking about where do they want to write a check to. There's only going to be two, three, maybe four organizations that are top of mind for those people, where when they have their checkbook in front of them, they say, "Oh yeah, I want to make sure that we send a gift to this organization." And so we want to start to capture mind share. We want to be top of mind for people so that when they have those checks to write, when they have that money that's going to go out, they think of our organization. And part of the way that we do that is we start to lay that foundation all the way back in August and September. If we have a Giving Tuesday campaign, then I want to start laying the framework for that in October or maybe even September. So there's a lot that goes into this, but if you wait till the last minute, it'll be a very haphazard, kind of thrown together hodgepodge of a campaign versus really taking this intentional approach to start laying the groundwork for your fundraisers. So, as we get closer into the end of the year, I'll talk more about how to make good presentations, how to ask and work through your limiting beliefs around asking people to partner. Maybe we'll talk about some specific ideas or some things that have been really successful in fundraisers that I've run in the past that have brought lots of funding in at the end of the year. We'll focus on that more as we get to the end of the year. But what I want you to focus on right now is, when are you going to have these events? Work the schedule backwards to know, when do I need to have RSVPs back to me? When do I need to send RSVPs out to my partners? When do I need to get a save the date? When do I need to start talking to my larger donors, my table hosts, other people that are going to be involved in the fundraising with me? And when should I start laying the groundwork for the things that I'm going to do at the end of the year? Right now's the time. Now's the time to work on that. Now's the time to lay the framework for that. And so I really want to encourage you to start thinking about this now, and don't wait until you get too close to the end of the year and things are disorganized and you're not really showing up the way that you want to show up to be able to invite people to partner with the great work that you're doing. And so I hope that you guys all have a great rest of your week, and remember to lead well, live whole, and leave a legacy.